I'm an investment banker, and part of my job is to work very closely with the Federal Reserve and the statistics they published. For those who don't know, the Federal Reserve is our nation's leading authority on all things money. So, to make you feel better or worse, they published a report last year to show the average net worth of individuals by age group. So, you can compare yourself to others and say what the actual. Now, this report provides a 23-year comparison of the net worth of an individual starting from 1989 all the way to 2022. But since the comparison is on net worth, let's understand what is net worth to begin with. Net worth is what you have minus what you owe. Now, what you have or your assets can include all cash, bank accounts, investment accounts, retirement accounts, and the equity you have in your home. Also included are all your valuables such as jewelry, coins, or the items that you have that can have any resale value. Your liabilities or what you owe include all your debt, including your home loan, student loan, credit card debt, or any loans you have outstanding. The difference between your assets and your liabilities is your net worth. Now, going by net worth, what you'll see in this survey is that the younger you are, the less money it takes to be considered in the top percentiles, and the older you get, the more money it takes. So let's dive into this super interesting data so you can do what no one should ever do, that is compare yourself to other people. Hi, I'm Amber. I'm a banker in New York City, and in this channel we talk about money, finance, and net worth breakdowns. This video is divided into three parts. At first part, I will walk you through the net worth of how much money the average person has by age group and how much you need to be considered in the top 50th percentile. I will give you a breakdown of the actual assets and what people owe against them to compute the net worth. And lastly, how you should read this data to analyze your net worth and how you can improve it regardless of age. So please stay with me till the end of this video as I will be sharing some really interesting data that can help you immensely. I also make these videos to use my experience in finance to provide useful content for viewers. If you find my videos useful, the only request I have is to please support me by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. This keeps the video relevant so I keep producing meaningful content in the future. Now let's start with the highest net worth age group of 65 to 74. This age group has a net worth of $410,000. Fun fact about this age group is that they make up almost 10% of the entire population and enjoy the highest rate of home ownership in the United States, reflecting years of investment in real estate and stability. The second age group is between 55 to 64, with a median net worth of $364,000. This group makes up roughly 15% of the population and are leading contributors to the retirement and savings accounts such as 401ks and IRAs, preparing for retirement more aggressively than the younger groups. The third place is dominated by retirees of age 75 and over, with a median net worth of $335,000, and they make up roughly 7% of the American population. The fourth group is between the ages 45 to 54 with a net worth of $247,000. They make up 13% of the US population. Fun fact, individuals in this group tend to spend the highest on luxury goods and designer brands than any other age group, reflecting a stage in their life where personal and financial self-reward becomes more prominent. The fifth or the second to last age group is anyone between 35 to 44 years of age with a median net worth of $135,000. And then the last place is for anyone ages 35 and younger, with a median net worth of $39,000. This is obviously a large group which makes up roughly 42% of the population. Considering majority in this group are not working or in a beginner job, it makes sense that their net worth is the lowest. Now, if you follow the trend, it's clear that the wealth generally increases with age. This is understandable as older individuals have invested in real estate early on and they have built in equity by paying off debts over time. Additionally, their property values have also risen and they have benefited from compound interest, enhancing the value of their retirement accounts. So in essence, a combination of early investment and long life seems to be a common denominator driving wealth. Now, let's break down the net worth by asset types and loans against those assets to get a clear view of their wealth attribution. But before we jump into the breakdown, it's important to understand that this is a survey, and surveys are not always factual because there's an element of human biasness in it. For example, if this was a survey where people were asked how much their value of the house is, and most people thought that the house is worth more than what they would probably get at the market, then the equity value, which is the price of the house less the loan outstanding, is skewed towards the higher end. Of course, the variations in this survey won't be drastic to tip the scale, but nonetheless, it's something to keep in mind while reading the numbers. Alright, let's dive back into our net worth analysis, focusing on our wealthiest demographic first, people aged 65 to 74. This group holds a whopping $474,000 in assets, with a significant share of their wealth tied up in their primary residence, which is valued at around $320,000. Now, if we want to get a clear picture of the true net worth, we subtract the $110,000 of their home loan, which leaves us with a real equity of $210,000. Moving on to the second largest asset category, the retirement accounts. These are worth $200,000 with stock holdings making up around $160,000 of that figure. Additionally, their vehicles or the cars they drive add an average value of around $27,000 to the asset pool. Now, let's talk about their liabilities. They're shouldering about $110,000 in mortgage debt, $6,000 for their cars, and an average credit card debt of around $3,500. Now, despite these debts, it's their real estate investments that have truly propelled them to the top of the wealth ladder compared to other age brackets. Now, let's look at the second wealthiest age group, those aged 55 to 64. This crowd manages assets totaling $437,000, which is not far from the older peers. The biggest slice of the wealth pie still comes from real estate, with their primary homes valued at around $350,000. They've also accumulated $185,000 in their retirement accounts, with stocks comprising of $110,000 of this portfolio. They also drive fancier cars valued at around $32,000. When it comes to debt, this group carries a bit more loan than their elders. They owe $125,000 tied in home loans, $7,000 in car loans, and an average credit card debt of around $3,500. Our third group is 45 to 54-year-olds. This age group is where things start to get a bit more intriguing. This group holds $427,000 in assets, so comparable to the 55 to 64-year-old age group. However, they top the charts in terms of real estate investments, owning properties worth $380,000. Their retirement savings stand at $115,000, with stocks accounting for $68,000 of the portfolio. They drive the most expensive cars in this survey, averaging around $32,100, which makes sense because these are peak earning years. When you are making more, it's natural to live in grander homes, drive better cars. It's all part of the peer pressure. Their largest debt is their home mortgage at $190,000, with car loans consistent with other age groups at $16,000, and their average credit card debt is around $3,000. Now, I'll skip over 75 and older age group as their net worth is close to 65 and 74 demographic, but it's worth noting that they rank third in wealth and carry the least debt, particularly in terms of real estate. Now, let's take a closer look at the core demographic of people in my age group of 35 to 44-year-olds. What's fascinating here is the apparent contradiction in their financial status. Despite having a median net worth of $135,000, they actually manage assets totaling $310,000. The primary residence is valued at a median of $350,000, while the retirement account holds $45,000. They also tend to drive fairly pricey cars, with the average value sitting around $29,800. In terms of debt, it's mostly what you'd expect. Their homes are the largest liability at $190,000, car loans are standard across the board at $16,000, and they also have high student debt at $25,000. Their credit card debt aligns with the norm at around $2,900. The higher loans in this age group make sense, as they have not had enough time to reduce their debts. Finally, if you look at the net worth of people 35 and younger, they have an average net worth of $39,000, $71,000 of which is in assets, and $32,000 of which is in liabilities. This is the largest group by population at around 42%. The primary residence on average is valued at around $250,000. As for the retirement savings, they're sitting at a low of $19,000. Their cars are a bit on the modest side, valued at around $24,000, which ranks just above the 75 and older group, making it the second lowest. As for debt, they're looking at a median debt of $177,000 for their homes, $14,000 for their cars, and $18,000 in student debt, which is the lowest student debt across all age groups. Plus, they also have $1,700 in credit card debt, the same as those of 75 and older. So that was a lot of information. Hopefully, this breakdown gives you a clear view of where different age groups stand in respect of net worth. In providing the breakdown, there are two things that stood out as drivers of net worth. One was time, and second was real estate. However, there is a third category that drives net worth, and that's a college degree. The survey shows that families where at least one member has a college degree tends to earn roughly twice as much as those with some college experience, and almost 4 times more as those without a high school diploma. Now, you might guess that a higher education leads to higher income, but when you look at the net worth, the difference is even more staggering. For example, a family with a college degree might have a net worth more than 10 times greater than one without a high school diploma, and 3 times greater than those with some college experience. It's pretty wild to think about it, isn't it? Now, let's shift gears again now and discuss how this impacts you particularly when it comes to saving strategies and financial planning. And for that, let's look at the recommendations from one of the largest investment houses in the US, Fidelity. Now, Fidelity suggests that starting at age 25, you should save 15% of your income and invest it in the stock market index bonds or the 401k. By the time you're 30, they say that you should have saved an amount equal to 1 year's salary. So if you're earning $50,000 a year, you would aim to save $50,000 in a tax-efficient retirement account. Every 5 years, the goal is to up the ante. By age 35, you should have twice your annual income. By 40, 3 times. And this pattern should continue until you reach age 67, where your savings should be 10 times your annual income. That's the roadmap Fidelity lays out. Now, what do you think about these targets? They seem pretty challenging, especially with all the economic ups and downs you have experienced. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm curious to hear how you're planning your financial future in the light of this advice. I have to admit, I'm a bit skeptical about how feasible these targets are for the middle class, especially with all the recent government spending and inflation. But if you're watching my videos, chances are you're already ahead of the curve. If you find yourself feeling a bit behind after this discussion, remember it's never too late to start investing. Starting with low-cost broad market index funds could be a smart gradual way to build wealth. I'm really keen to hear how this information stacks up against your own financial situation. While many of my viewers do not drop anything in the comments below, if you do feel like sharing your age, your current net worth, and any thoughts that you may have about your financial situation, I can make a video which might just help your situation. Remember, the data I've shared today isn't set in stone. It's based on surveys that might not perfectly represent the average. Either way, I'd love to hear from you. Hope you have found this video useful. If you have any questions, please mention in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them. Hope you have a fantastic rest of the day. Don't forget to please hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't yet. And stay tuned. You've got some great content coming every Sunday and Wednesday. Love to you all. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.